Exercise 7. Ready, start. Let me now come to the decisions of the Wage Board. Much has been said about the Wage Board decision, as if a crime had been done by the Wage Board. There was a howl from the employers and from among the other quarters, as if justice had been brought down to dust. What was the decision of the Supreme Court, and what were the decisions of the Wage Boards? I would like to point out that except in 6 cases in all other matters, the decisions of the Wage Board were good, and the Wage Board had an equal number of employers and the working journalists. That is to say, the employers agreed to all other matters on which decisions had been taken. With regard to these matters, they might have certain ground for criticism. Now, the decisions had been taken through mutual talks. The decisions were taken with a view to settling the dispute amicably across the table by mutual talk, and the Labour Minister took the initiative. Naturally, efforts were made there in order to see how these decisions could be implemented. It was agreed that the employers should not go to court and the working journalists should not also take certain other militant offensive actions. A gentleman's agreement was arrived at. Then what happened? On the one hand, they were talking about this thing. On the other hand, they were preparing for litigation. On the very day on which this agreement was arrived at and a decision was taken to appoint a body where all the interested parties could discuss and settle matters, a petition was filed on behalf of the employers in the court. Therefore, I think that much of the argument that has been advanced is something which is mischievously wrong, and we ought to take note of it. Sir, according to the Supreme Court, the Wage Board should not have fixed the wages. It seems that the proprietors have gone on all their promises they made. They want even the fixation of the minimum wage to be left to the states. They want the scales to be determined at state levels by tribunals. Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, I am surprised by some of the facets of this whole question. The Honourable Minister has tried to defend a totally indefensible matter. There is a jumble of statistics given. Some figures are quoted as to how many have graduated from a college which does not have a campus, a hostel, a library, a clinic. There are no facilities. The college has been moving from one place to another. It is a mythical college, a college on paper. It is producing graduates in subjects as important as medicine, and the Honourable Minister says there is no difficulty. He says that it has functioned for several years. I would submit that this is a wrong assertion to make. It is incredible. If this were the case, if hostels, research facilities, clinics, libraries, none of these were necessary in medical colleges, and if without these you can have graduates, then why have this facade of a medical college? Why don't you go through this ad hocism in all institutions and produce graduates? It is an indefensible situation. Nowhere in the world, I think, would be able to find an example to match this example. The minister in his statement said that because there were more pre-medical students, therefore, it became necessary to create a medical college. So this was the genesis. But why were there more pre-medical students? Was there no planning? You create a medical college because you have created a surplus of pre-medical students. How do you create surplus? Do you create it in the air? One would hope that the Honourable Minister would go beyond the routine of cooking up figures and statistics to defend an indefensible case. I would request the Honourable Minister to let me know how much has been spent on this mythical college during the last 10 years. How much money have we spent in the last 10 years on this college without any hostel, without any library and without any research unit, and how much do we intend spending in the next 4 or 5 years? When will this college come to function as a medical college?